morning. Happy Thursday, right? Okay. PASW staff, clients, and our little friends joining us for Thursday, when we like to go back to LA and kind of kick it cool right before tomorrow, which is your film scoring results for the fantasy baseball drama film, Field of Dreams. Really good stuff, guys. Really good. So I can't wait to show you that. Yesterday was important, though. We looked at Irving Berlin, father of the American Songbook, God Bless America, White Christmas. Just, I mean, I can't get over it. He played all of those black keys, untrained, just had melody in his mind. I hope you enjoyed that. And then, you know, as opposed to Rimsky-Korsakov, the day before, the composer, had a lot of training, still wrote beautiful music, but, you know, Scheherazade, all that fairy tale-like music was gorgeous. But Berlin's different, you know, songs are, you know, music is symphonies, and sometimes music is just 12 bars of something really great. It's all over. So today it's cool because I took a wrong turn a few months ago. It sounds like I made it up. At night after after the Dodger game, we had to get out of some traffic. So we took a wrong turn and discovered these beautiful houses, gorgeous houses in Echo Park. Out of nowhere, it seemed to appear. And it got me thinking about a certain type of houses that were really popular in Los Angeles, and then most of them all got destroyed, and then many of them were put into this little heritage square, which is now a museum that you can go and tour. So I thought we'd look at some Victorian houses that are still existing today, you know, from the 1880s. So we're gonna have, I mean, really a lot of fun, hopefully, looking today at the Heritage Square Museum. Heritage Square Museum's in Montecito Heights, not Mendocino Farms. I always get those two really confused. So we're going to look at about 8 buildings in Montecito Heights. Then we're going to go a little bit near Echo Park into Angelino Heights and look at, you know, the street that I stumbled upon. So first, you know, Heritage Square Museum, if you've ever gone on the 110 freeway, the Pasadena freeway, you'll see all these kind of old Victorian houses, and it's really kind of out of place. So it's this living history. It's open architecture because you can go and you don't even have to pay. You can just go and kind of look at these houses. It's a museum, though, located right outside the Arroyo Seco. So last week we looked at the Lummus House, right? And so this is very close to the Lummus House. Charles Lummus, who walked from Ohio to Los Angeles in around 140 days, and he set up a little arts community with his house, right? It took about 15 years to build. And he was very big proponent of Indian rights and folk rights and folk music and salon parties at his house with big people, big artists and big politicians, and wonderful guy. So that's very close. So we're kind of still in that same neighborhood. So it's a living history museum because the houses are still there, and it shows the development of housing in Southern California through the different you know, stages. So except for one of them, all these structures were built between 1875 and 1899, a long time ago. And what happened was, before they were going to be demolished, because many of them were, some of them were saved, and so they were put in this location. So that's why they're all kind of on this street. It looks like a movie set. In fact, we'll talk about a few things that were filmed there later. So why did this happen? Well, 1960s, you get a lot of urban development and places because people are, you know, by the 60s, 1960s, people are moving here, you know, and it's too bad because a lot of things that we looked at Bunker Hill, a lot of things were destroyed. So because of these, Victorian buildings didn't, you know, it wasn't really practical, it wasn't in vogue, or I don't know what, I wasn't there in the 60s, but they were being demolished at a really high rate. So the LA Historic Cultural Monument program, these heroes, I would say, and established this in 1961. They said, you can't take all of these things away. So in 1969, they created this Heritage Commission, and these volunteers saved all of these great things, because this is part of our culture. Won't get into it, but we can't cancel everything, right? I mean, we also need historical context and all that stuff. So why don't we bring up our timeline? So let's just say these houses were, you know, in the late 19th century. Let's just say since 1875 is one of the oldest houses. It's the same year as Pasadena is, you know, invented, or, you know, incorporated rather. So long time ago, and this is Victorian style. What is Victorian? I mean, Queen Victoria, right? She died right in 1901 or so, and that was the end of the Victorian era. And you know, that's in England, right? She wasn't Queen of America. So she reigned though, 1837 till 1901, and it's interesting that one person can be, you can call a movement just based off one person's presence, you know, that, so because of her, she kind of created, or history created this style. So the style is, you know, wood and stone, or stone, exterior, asymmetrical shapes, turrets. I mean, it's so cool. The trims are very decorative, beautiful textures and wall surfaces. I mean, and if we think of, because we have to think this is, you know, music-wise, we've talked about a lot of composers. Late 19th century is romantic, right? You know, by the 20th century, it's modern music coming in with urban Berlin and people like that. So Victorian composers, Gilbert and Sullivan. We did a class on Gilbert and Sullivan, the two, you know, that wrote all those great operas, witty operas. They would mock politics. They would, you know, satire and all those things. Gilbert and Sullivan's very big. And then romantic music, you know, Wagner's dead. People, Ravel and Debussy are still writing. But then we're getting, with Scott Joplin, we're getting into songs too. So we're having classical music going on. Mahler's still alive. Big composers are still alive. Richard Strauss is still alive. But we're also getting folk songs. And, you know, almost Tin Pan Alley-like songs, ragtime, early jazz is coming in. So very cool how this late 19th century, early 20th century is shifting all of this stuff. So, I mean, LA, you know, it's 1880s, the boom's happening because of the railroad, people are coming out, housing needs to be, you know, accommodating to people have land. I mean, the economy is starting to boom, right? I mean, in 1885, it was possible to travel from Los Angeles to Kansas City for $1. And I know that they wanted a lot of people coming out here. And I remember reading that, you know, if you came from the Midwest or, you know, south to LA, you would get a free chicken. You know, I mean, there were things to entice people to come out here and to get land. So with that, you need housing, of course. So a lot of these buildings, these beautiful buildings, were the architect was Joseph Cather Newsom, and so the 1880s Industrial Revolution, factories and all of these things, and new knowledge and science and technology was rapidly growing. It was a very exciting time. So with these new houses, all these kind of eclectic architecture things were getting up there. I mean, we looked at the Bradbury building. That's late 19th century. Wonderful, beautiful buildings being erected. And so with the museum square, there's 8 historic buildings, kind of, and a vintage train and a trolley car. It looks like a set, really. You can take tours of the 9 structures. There's 5 homes, a train depot, carriage house, a church. It's weird because it's in the middle of LA. You know, it's like this little fantasy land in the middle of LA, and I just think it's cool to know that, well, it's still there, and you can kind of go and the tours, people dress up in the costumes, and they have these tours, and they talk to you, I guess, like, you know, like it's the 19th century again. So that square is so cool. And then Carroll Avenue. Carroll Avenue is in LA near Echo Park. So that's in Angelino Heights, very close by. This too, Angelino Heights, was at the boom of the LA economy in the 1880s. Because you had railroads, so people started coming out here, and, you know, for $1, I mean, mostly anybody can afford $1 to come from the Missouri River to the West Coast. So Carroll Avenue is really great because it's the highest concentration of Victorian houses in Los Angeles. I mean, it's so cool. It was one of the city's first residential districts, you know, because downtown, it's all this commerce and all these things are happening, fast trains. Residential people, they're going to want to live where? I mean, so a lot of these are the early homeowners are going to live a little bit outside of downtown. A lot of them are going to move to Carroll Avenue and live around this neighborhood. So Echo Park was really one of the first residential neighborhoods. These houses on Carroll are private homes now, and they do go up for sale. And of course, since we're in LA, we need to film everything, right? There's always filming. So Mad Men was filmed there, and then probably the one that we all know, the Thriller House. The Thriller House, where Michael Jackson immortalized, you know, in the video for Thriller in 1982. So just thought we'd look at those beautiful Victorian houses. You know, you think that these things are all gone in LA, but there are pockets. That's what's great about LA. There are pockets of great history that are still there, and I just thought we'd look at some beautiful Victorian buildings. Okay, I've said it all. Tomorrow, film scoring results for Field of Dreams. Okay, have a great rest of the day. Bye.